Good morning, everybody. Welcome to part one of me watching every Nicolas Cage movie he ever starred in. Nick Cage has starred in a lot of movies, so here's how this is going to work. Every about week and a half to 2 weeks, I will post a new video with me reviewing 2 to 3, maybe 4 movies in each video, depending on how in-depth I go with each movie. With each movie, I'll give a description of the movie. Some movies I'll go more in depth, some movies not so much. Once again, just depends on how interesting I think it is. I will also go over Nicolas Cage's performance, how I feel about it, how it compares to his others. Then I'll kind of talk about some maybe weird things that happened in the movie, some things I thought were funny, because it is a Nicolas Cage movie, so things are bound to get a little strange at some point. Last thing, the tier list. And with the intro out of the way, let's get into the first movie. The first movie is Valley Girl, 1983. Now, this movie is your classic Romeo and Juliet romance movie. You've seen it 1,000 times before. Unfortunately, nothing really special about it in any way. And I was going to do a description for you, but honestly, this clip from the trailer sums it up perfectly.
Julie's cool. Randy's hot. She's from the valley. He's not.
Now, a few weird things about the movie. Right off the bat, Julie's dad, Nicolas Cage's love interest, Julie, her dad, he has a line in the movie. Julie and her high school age friend come downstairs about to go to a party, and Julie's dad sees them and he says to Julie's friend, and I quote, "Man, if I were 20 years younger." I guess during the early 80s that was okay to say, but that was definitely uncomfortable to see. Not to mention her dad is the only one who looks like a parent in this movie. Most of the parents in this movie look just like the high schoolers in this movie, which isn't super uncommon because, the high schoolers obviously aren't high schooled age, they're in their 20s, but a lot of the parents also look like high schoolers, including Julie's mom. So Julie's dad looks like a dad, Julie's mom kind of looks like the rest of the high schoolers. And then there's some weird stuff about her age, possibly. It was kind of unclear. They talked about them growing up together, kind of, I think, but also some comments about Julie's dad being significantly older than her mom. It was just weird. It was just weird. Don't know why it was needed. Speaking of things that I don't know why it was needed, there was a subplot in this movie. So you've got your normal plot from every romantic movie you've ever seen. And then you have this subplot, which I guess this could kind of take it off in a different direction. Now, this is also a stereotypical movie plot, just a slightly different kind of movie. An adult-themed movie. One of the high school boys who is flirting with and about to date one of Julie's friends, is also very much flirting with the stepmom of Julie's friend. Yes, the stepmom. To drive the stereotype even further home, in one scene, he is a delivery boy delivering groceries to the stepmom. Now, nothing happens, but it was very, very close. Now, once again, this is a high schooler and a fully grown woman. As for Nicolas Cage's performance, it was strange, but not in the strange way that you love Nicolas Cage for. He was supposed to be this, cool Hollywood guy, but sometimes he just came across as kind of, I guess the nice way to put it is an airhead. For example...
Oh. Well, that sounds good. Well, that sounds good to me.
Now, fuck off for sure. Like, totally.
So yeah, you can kind of see what I mean there. He definitely does have his classic Nicolas Cage over the top moments at times. You can kind of see the early hints of it, but overall, he's just kind of deadpan most of the time, and it's not super interesting. Overall, unfortunately, I have to put it in the bad tier. Just nothing interesting or special about it. A couple weird scenes didn't save it from making it super entertaining. Nicolas Cage is super early in his acting career here. This is his first ever starring role, so we're far from the Nick Cage that we know and love today. So overall, I have to put it in the bad tier. In research for Valley Girl, I discovered that they had recently made a remake of Valley Girl a couple years ago. It is a musical, and the rival love interest this time is played by Logan Paul. So if that's something you guys would be interested in, I can make a video on that as well, sitting through that and watching that for your entertainment. I'm willing to take that risk for you. So if that's something you guys would be interested in, let me know in the comments down below. Movie number 2, Racing with the Moon. Now, one thing I haven't talked about yet is this era of Nicolas Cage movie. Now, especially early on in this era, this 20 years of movies he's made and starred in, pretty much all of his movies are either romance movies or war movies. This movie combines both those things. Two boys from a small town who are best friends, played by Sean Penn and Nicolas Cage, are drafted into World War II. And this movie follows their last few weeks before getting shipped off to fight. It shows them trying to squeeze in the last little bits of childhood that they can get in before they have to go and fight in the war. Nicolas Cage overall does a really good job in this movie. I think it was a huge step up from Valley Girl, acting and performance-wise. I really enjoyed it, and I think this was a step in the right direction for him. This movie overall was pretty normal, not much really to get into, but there was one weird line. The main love interest to Sean Penn, her friend is trying to convince her early in the movie to go out with her cousin on a date. And she asks this girl, her friend, is he attractive? Is he cute? And she says, and I quote, "If he wasn't my cousin, I would date him." Which personally is a comment I would keep to myself. I feel like that could have been expressed in a different way, just saying, yeah, he's cute, whatever, push on, but she went with, I'd date him, when talking about her cousin. Overall, I'd give this a grade of good. It was kind of an interesting movie to see these two young men try to navigate life and kind of their last few problems before their problems really start ramping up. And it kind of makes those problems seem silly throughout the movie, but also still serious to them. Nothing really blew me away about this movie. Performances were good. Nothing crazy. It was a really good movie, and I would recommend it to anyone who's interested in that kind of movie and time and period. One thing I would like to mention, Sean Penn's dad in that movie was probably the best movie dad I've ever seen in my life. Just really loving and gave good advice throughout the movie. They really didn't go into the stereotypical oh, dad doesn't care about what's happening. They didn't really feed into any of those stereotypes, which is super common, especially for that time and beyond. He was actually a really good dad, which was kind of cool, and I made note of it after I watched the movie. The final movie of part 1 is Birdy. Birdy takes place during the Vietnam War. Two friends, one hurt physically, played by Nick Cage, and one hurt mentally, who was missing in action, played by Matthew Modine. Now, Matthew Modine's character will not speak, and Nicolas Cage is brought in to try to help get him back to normal where he is speaking again. He does this through the retelling of their childhood before the war and all the adventures that they went on. In a lot of ways, this is similar to Racing with the Moon, but this is showing the after effect of the war rather than beforehand. Nicolas Cage gives a good performance playing the straight man in this movie, which, going on in his career, obviously is not always the case, but it's nice to see him in this different role. And he does a good job overall, I'd say. Now, for those of you who have seen this movie, you know I've kind of skipped over a few important details in my brief description. That's because I kind of want to go over some of those in the weird things section, which is happening right now. So, those of you who haven't seen the movie yet, brace yourself. No spoilers here, just some interesting facts about the movie. Nicolas Cage's friend, the character's name is Birdy. Now you may be wondering, why is his name Birdy? Well, it's simple. Birdy is a bird-obsessed boy. Yes, he is obsessed with birds. He loves them. And many of you are thinking right now, oh no. And yes, you are right to think, oh no. The obsession with birds is sexual. He, in fact, has a wet dream where he fucks a bird. It wasn't surprising, but at the same time it was. Now, Birdy's obsession with birds kinda impacts his chances with the ladies, believe it or not. Now, it's not because of the bird obsession, in a way, it's more so he's so obsessed with the birds, he's not attracted to women, which means at some point there is a scene where him and Nicolas Cage are walking down the beach, and Nicolas Cage is trying to explain to him why boobs are great. It was fascinating to see and almost worth the watch just to see that scene alone. One last thing in the weird section part. In the psychiatric ward, Birdy is constantly naked, and I believe he is perched pretending to be like a bird. I don't believe, I know he's perched pretending to be a bird while completely naked, which it's hard with what is supposed to be a serious movie about, war and friendship and all this really cool stuff. There's just this guy who's obsessed with birds and is pretending to be a bird. It kind of takes some of the impact out, but also does make it super entertaining because that stuff is super out there and kind of goofy and fun to see. I have mixed feelings about it overall. My overall grade for Birdy is, it was okay. I'd have to put it in the okay tier. It's a super interesting look on friendship through hard times, but it was 2 hours long. Honestly, it was too long. I think it would have been better to be in the hour and a half range. It would have been a lot quicker and more precise that way. Some movies work out being longer, some just need to be shorter, and I think this was just one of them. The performances were good. Matthew Modine does his part of playing the bird-obsessed boy, although part of me does think the movie might have been better had those roles been switched and Nicolas Cage plays the bird-obsessed boy. Matthew Modine originally did go for the part that Nicolas Cage ended up playing, which is more of the straight man, and he did not get it, but they gave him Birdy instead. So part of me thinks it might have been better had the roles been reversed, but who knows. Overall, it was an okay movie, good performances. I probably wouldn't watch it again because it was just too long, but if you're interested in wartime, friendship, coming-of-age stories, this might be something that's interesting to you, and honestly, some of the bird stuff is just out there enough that it might be entertaining as a one-time watch. Thank you for watching. Like I said before, part 2 should be up in about a week and a half or so. I'll do 3 or 4 more movies. I'm not sure yet. I'm still working on that video. I want to kind of keep these under 15 minutes so they're a little bit easier to digest. But I hope you enjoyed. Please, if you enjoyed it, subscribe, like it, share it. Maybe you know someone else who's super into Nicolas Cage, or maybe they aren't into Nicolas Cage yet and you want to get them into it. If you're joining me on this journey, comment down below if you watch any of these movies. Let me know what you think. Or if you've seen them, let me know what you think. Do you agree? Was I right? Was I wrong? Let me know. But anyway, thanks for watching.